Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Marcus here this morning. I want to thank you so very much for stopping on this post. Today, I want to tell you that I'm kind of painting, and at the same time, I'm kind of rejoicing. I'm painting at the fact that as I watch MoveOn.org or Democracy Now! Or some of the other social media outlets that are informing us about the various crises that's being experienced all across the country, all across the nation, really, and all across the world, constantly feeding us this information about what's going on, the people that are involved, and people who are trying different approaches to either resolve the problem with results look as though perhaps they are increasing the problem rather than causing it to dissipate. And yet, ladies and gentlemen, we find ourselves here constant, trying to deal with these situations. And we find ourselves blaming one another, and all of this is a result of our not knowing what to do. We all realize, it, at least individually, what will work for us. We know exactly what will work for us, but we do not know what will work for others. Not only don't we know, we haven't even been taught to have the consideration of what to do. There was a time when we did used to speak about one another's compassion and empathy and our relationship. We used to talk about that years and years ago, but it seems that most recent, the number one concern is to amass wealth, to be able to put yourself in a position that whatever the situations might be, whatever the tsunamis of life might be, that you yourself might be able to ride above the tide and not even really concerned about others. In fact, we recognize that many people within our society today have concluded and want to give the image out that people who are poor, people who are suffering because of lack of economics, are so because of their ignorance, because of their lack of the resources that comes from wherever it comes, that would make them qualified to be able to enjoy the riches of life. In other words, they are for those who got it. And the reality of the truth, as I would like for you to understand, ladies and gentlemen, is that that is a lie. Everything that they've presented to you in that regard is a lie. The reason that poverty exists in America, the reason that poverty across the world exists, the reason that crime and violence exist in America, the reason that crime and violence exist all across the world, the reason that have been wars in America, and the reason that there have been wars across the world that included or involved America is for the same reason that all of these problems that we have today exist. And why is that? Because of deception, because of not understanding the truth. Now, I have been out here for a long time, and I've been trying to be instrumental in the solution to the problems that exist today. Because I want you to know, ladies and gentlemen, that these problems exist, not by some, but by all of us. All of us are involved in this problem. All of us play a role in this existence. And all of us would have to play a role in its removing. And that includes me. Now, I need you, I want you, I desire that you would know that every problem that you have individually or collectively have already been fixed. Now, what do I mean? It's been fixed. It was fixed in the beginning. In the beginning, there was peace, prosperity, freedom, joy, and the fulfillment of dreams. Fixed. It's like a puzzle. You know, you take a puzzle and you look at it and you see the picture. Everything is in place. You can look at it. You see what I'm saying? It's all in place. So in this picture, peace and prosperity, freedom and the joy of life and the fulfillment of dreams, it was already in place. But somehow somebody came and slapped it, knocked it over, and all of the pieces got out of place. Now you're trying to say, how do I get this back in place? And you're trying to look for somebody to tell you how, who does not even know what the picture looked like. So they're just fidgeting, fidgeting around. And that's a good way to do it, but you find out, at least since I've been here, it hasn't worked. We're still fidgeting around. But you need someone who has seen the picture. And none of us have seen the picture. So if we have an idea of what it is because it has been reflected to us. It has been revealed to us. The picture, the complete picture. And for some strange reason, those who have seen the complete picture have not been able to translate that message to those who have not. So what I have recognized is that in every walk of life, everybody that's suffering should be listening to this. If you are in poverty, if you engage yourself in crime and violence, if you get gigolo, if you deal in illicit activities, say drugs and alcohol and prostitution and selling organs and selling slaves and human beings and starting reasons for hatred and racism and bigotry, if you're involved in any of this stuff, you should be listening to this message today. You should definitely be listening to this message today. If you try to dominate nations or just people, you should be listening to this message today. Why? Because none of that has to exist. And it's going to always exist until you recognize the truth. What America needs today, and this is what it's looking for. Because as far as me speaking this truth to you and all of you accepting it, it just ain't going to happen. I'm not going to even try to deceive myself like it is. But what America and what the world needs today is a leader, a true leader. You got organizations all over the country. You got them all over the world, got them everywhere. You got leadership problems. You got, even within these organizations and then within organizations amongst organizations, everybody got the dominant answer, and none of those answers work. Why? Because you don't have true leaders. You got people who want to be leaders. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's good to want to be leaders, but you're falling short of the mark. You are not leaders. You see, leaders are totally committed, and they're totally committed in love. But all of the leaders in every organization around here today are limited. They have limitations of their leadership. They will go this far and they'll go that far, but they will not go the necessary distance. No, they will not go the necessary distance. And that includes me. I used to want to, as I mentioned earlier, I wanted to be up front, but I realized today that no. And I'm telling this because I want all you guys and all these different organizations out here, NAACP, Operation Push, white nationalist organizations, I have to say that, right-wing conservative churches, left-wing liberal churches, all of you guys out there in leadership, mega church pastors and people who seeing all of these prophecies and all that, none of that stuff is going to get you where you're trying to go. You need a leader. And the leader that you need is a leader like this. I'm just going to give you the kind of leadership you need. You need a leadership of a person or someone who gets the directions for his leadership from a power that you cannot see, a spirit, invisible, but is responsible for all existence. A leader who has evidence that such a power really exists today. Not something that you read about, something that you study of, but one that has evidence that that power is available today. Who makes a choice to accept that power as the ultimate because of the expressive power of what was made known that allows such a one to see all those crumbled parts of the puzzle, to see it as it is, and at the same time envision it repaired. And who chooses repairing it, understanding that all of the parts as good or as bad as they might be, they're all inconsequential. There they are. And until one who knows how it's done, who has seen it complete, does the laying on of hands, you just got a mess. So I'm saying to you today, ladies and gentlemen, what America needs and what the world needs is a leader. A leader. A leader who can look at this puzzle and say, I can see it, that every individual is never, ever without food. Never, ever without food. Never, ever without clothing or shelter. A leader that sees in the midst of all of these little parts scattered all everywhere, trying to be fixed by all these various hands, who sees that there's not one individual who will ever have a desire for education, have any reason to not receive it. Education unlimited and unrestricted for every individual that desires it. A leader who looks at all of that mess, those puzzle pieces everywhere, and sees health care from the womb to the tomb, and the best of everything that is done, because every individual that benefits from the things that I just mentioned to you, one way or another plays a part in the creative process, engaging themselves in, and out comes the results, the abundant results, to meet every need, every want, and every desire. You see, you need a leader that says this is the way it's going to be as long as I'm here. As long as I'm here, that's the way it's going to be. A leader that will settle for nothing that's going to hold this back. A leader that is willing to be martyred as a sign of the truth that he represents or she represents. The truth that is represented will take a bullet 1,000 times before it acquiesces and falls back into darkness. A leader that can take all of these parts and see it and stand up in such a way that those hands that's out there that's trying to bring these things together, these different parts together, starts working in unison. Start working because they are being led by the love that is being generated by this leader that directs them the path that they should follow. That now these little very intermediate parts and all of these very little small parts as you thought they were begin to be empowered by the expressive hands of love that it sees all around. And when we bring it together like that, this is the kind of leadership that America needs. This is the kind of leadership that the world needs. But where is that leadership? The power of it is in the invisibility. And it eliminates pain and suffering for everyone. This is the evidence of the love of the Almighty God. And it's not killing anybody, not with bullets or with plagues. Until next time, I want to thank you so very much, ladies and gentlemen, for giving me this your time. This has been and is Eddie Marcus saying goodbye.